In terms of the region, she's very important as a curator. René Bloch became famous by, let's say, making famous another big artist, basically. At that time, he was running Kunsthalle Fridericianum. Kunsthalle Fridericianum is the place where Documenta is organized, and Documenta is called like the mother of all exhibitions in contemporary art. So basically what happens in a certain period of time, Documenta captures somehow that. And at that time I was being invited by another curator, a Polish curator, Anza Rottenberg, to exhibit in Belgrade, part of an exhibition called Continental Breakfast. And this would be, for an artist living here, it was an interesting invitation. I was invited to exhibit in Belgrade, but at the same time, a very interesting curator, but a very challenging context. So for me, I grew up in a very political, let's say, charged context. I couldn't ignore, and it's part of my background at the same time, that this is a challenging step. And of course, I mean, I was not, and sometimes saying no, I think is not enough. You know, basically, you have to articulate more, even if there's a no in that case. In the end, I did, things got complicated, the project moved, was invited by this other team of curators, and it was done in Cetinje. Embassy of the Republic of Kosovo, Cetinje. Sort of also brought in my a lot of things through which actually we are going through now. And as a continuation, trying to channel these challenges that we were going through with our identity, which were somehow created with the creation of the state, came as an opportunity to be placed in a, let's say, also in an international context. Venice Biennial is the only remaining structure in the contemporary art, let's say, system, which creates its exhibition or present based on national selection. And this is totally something that was part of 19th century way of organizing, let's say, art. Until the international program of MoMA was introduced, the world functioned in terms of art based on national schools, you know, like French schools, Spanish schools, whatever. So this is how they were exhibited. There was no style to associate, let's say, art, but national selection. And Venice Biennial still somehow recycles that idea. Of course, you have an exhibition which is curated by invited curators, but then you have countries representing their, let's say, their art. And Albania never had, let's say, a proper somehow representation there. And this year, in 2005, they invited 3 artists to be part of the Albanian pavilion. And in the end, the selection was narrowed to 1 artist. They invited Cisli Jaffa, an artist born in Kosovo, but functions more in international context, a very, very well-known artist and with very challenging works. And this presented somehow an opportunity for me to let's say, to make few questions in the public sphere. eFlux is this newsletter platform, which is the biggest and the strongest of its kind. It has made a sort of revolution in the art world by channeling information to all main institutions of art in the world. I mean, the coverage that they have, it's impressive. I mean, and I was not so aware about its influence, but I was subscribed to it, and I was getting these newsletters about pavilions of other countries. So you would have a Danish pavilion, American pavilion, And I had an idea, what about using eFlux to create a sort of virtual pavilion without having any, let's say, pavilion on the ground, but through doing this to make basically two questions. The question of what is a Kosovar and what is an Albanian identity, what are the differences? Do they exist? And also, what is this structure of national representation in art that is biennial? And at my surprise, it was very easy somehow to get to send the project to eFlux. The first curator I contacted had been working with one of the founders, Anton Vidopoulos, and somehow the project was done. What I did, I asked Shkete Malici, who was writing a text about Sicily Jaffa. I asked him to send me the text, and I just changed the name of the country in the text. So instead, Albania, I just added Kosovo. And as I was looking for an image of Sicily Jaffa's works, and I knew which work would be exhibited in Venice, I couldn't find it, and I just added the work of our kitchen that was being redone in the apartment. I called the work Kitchen, just Cuisine, 2005. And negotiated with eFlux, and eFlux agreed to distribute the news internationally without saying that this is a work of art. So basically they distributed the news about the Kosovo Pavilion just as any other pavilion in 2005. And Albania was not structured so well as a pavilion. It was sort of an individual initiative, so they didn't have any eFlux announcement. And in that case, without having this, you would just be invisible in a way. What happened after is sort of an interesting process also for me. It was interesting for me also to see how Albania would be positioned after this would happen. And eFlux was worried about, let's say, if Albania would sue them or something like that, Albanian Pavilion. And I said, I will claim every responsibility, so let Albania sue me. You know, so I would go in court with, with such this, in order to claim somehow the responsibility, I just added my phone number in the announcement, mobile phone number, so this would be sort of a link to claim responsibility. And this was done, it had sort of an impact. It's still, somehow I just received another text written by a Romanian curator. It's still somehow mentioned as a project to challenge also the Venice Biennial. Not only these sort of inside identity issues that we have. And okay, so then somehow I think I will pass to Stazione somehow. And I will show a project that we did with Jens Hanning. And it was, Jens Hanning was invited to do basically two projects. And I will show one of them. It's called Arabic Joke. The project was initially designed for New York. What he did, he designed a poster in Arabic, which has a joke. But like in the post-September 11 context, displaying posters in Arabic in New York is not that simple. I invited him to do that. I will just open a bit. So he was invited to do two works. This is a work that basically what he does, he goes in a country and he just writes the name of the country. Very simple. I mean, here we see this name a lot, right? Kosovares and whatever, and everything. Radio Kosovo, I don't know what. But for instance, going in Denmark, and that's not so much present in, writing Denmark, makes people think, what it is. And he was not sure if this was functioning so much. And this is wall painting. It's not like stickers or anything, so a very complicated process also to do it. But besides this work, I invited him to do this work. So these were like posters of that work, Arabic joke. And what was, let's say, sort of a small trigger for it was that for the first time, since I somehow remembered, one of the mosques in Pristina, just close to the museum, was they displayed some neon lights in the entrance of the mosque, which were in Arabic. And for me, okay, I saw always mosques like with text in Albanian or Turkish, so somehow that I understood somehow. Bayram Mubarak also, whatever. But like displaying something in Arabic for me was totally sort of like a hidden language, like a language that not everyone understands. And for me it was interesting to see how this language functions in terms of contemporary art. And so we did posters in Pristina and in Skopje simultaneously. And for us it was important to see how long would they survive in this environment of poster attacks all the time. So basically you stick a poster, it doesn't stay very long. Another one will come on. Another campaign, another product over it. But strangely enough, these posters stayed quite long in the public space. And the joke is very simple. I mean, it's not anything special, but of course the context for the poster is more important than the joke itself. And this was done in 2008. And I think I don't know what I can say now. Yeah.
Well, I will be here to maybe help in the discussion. I don't want to say too much. We've actually talked about your work, we talked about movies are required, and talked about Cicely Java's work in class, in our creative and critical thinking class. I think there are a couple of people here who took those classes, and we have spent quite a bit of time, I think, discussing them. So some of them already know what you've been working on. But I'd rather open up the floor and see if people have any questions or comments, and then maybe I might have a couple of questions myself.
You mentioned the Arabic, normally Jami mosque. Sorry. There was a sword underneath it. I don't know if you noticed as well.
A sword?
Yeah.
No, this what I saw then, it was just two like neon lights, just with text, and on like two different sides of the entrance.
But for quite a while there was a green one written in Arabic with white letters, not obviously in Arabic,
Yeah.
and there was a sword underneath it. And then it stayed for a month or so, and then they took it off.
Yeah, but I didn't see the sword. Yeah, maybe I just didn't notice it, but those were green as well. Yeah.
Were you the reason that they took them off, or did they just...
I don't think so, no, because this was done. I mean, I'm not sure. I cannot say, but the exhibition that was done, it was done a bit later, because like in all projects that you do, you need somehow to prepare for the project and fundraising, so it takes some time. So it was not done as a fast reaction against something that we see. So I'm not sure that they took them off after this. Although, like in all the works that we do, there's always, and this is very important for us and for Station, somehow to contextualize the works. Because the contemporary art scene always lacked that, you know, somehow there was no, not anyone that would write about these works that the artists here would do. So, and even those who write are very basic texts, you know, more information. And in this case, there was information distributed about the work. So and we have a sort of a network where we distribute the information, but I would not be able to associate